Today we continue and conclude our journey through the book of Ruth, covering chapters 3 and 4. I will read key passages and I encourage you to read the full chapters on your own. The full reading reference is provided for you below. Chapter 3 opens with Naomi recognizing the difficult reality of widowhood. She desired security and a future for Ruth. In Ruth chapter 3, 1 to 4, Naomi instructed Ruth to wash, put on perfume, dress in her best clothes, and go to the threshing floor where Boaz would be winnowing barley, that is, separating the grain from the chaff after the barley harvest. Naomi told Ruth to wait until Boaz had finished eating and drinking, then uncover his feet and lie down. Boaz would tell her what to do. Ruth simply answered, I will do everything you say. She trusted Naomi's wisdom and followed her instructions completely. In Ruth chapter 3, 5 to 9, everything happened just as Naomi had planned. After Boaz had gone to sleep, Ruth quietly uncovered his feet and lay down. Around midnight, Boaz was startled and realized someone was at his feet. Because it was dark, he asked, Who are you? Ruth answered, I am your servant Ruth. Spread the corner of your garment over me since you are a family redeemer. Earlier in Ruth chapter 2, Boaz had prayed that Ruth would find refuge under the wings of the Lord. Now Ruth was asking Boaz to become part of the answer to that prayer. She was appealing to his role as the family redeemer. Boaz responded with kindness. He praised Ruth's faithfulness and integrity and reminded her that everyone in Bethlehem knew she was a woman of noble character. Then Boaz revealed an important detail. In Ruth chapter 3, 12 to 13, he explained there was another family redeemer who was more closely related than he was. If that man chose to redeem Naomi's family, he had first right to do so. If he refused, Boaz promised, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Notice how the word redeemer becomes central to the story. God's plan would move forward through his appointed redeemer. Before Ruth left that morning, Boaz filled her shawl with barley and sent her back to Naomi. Naomi immediately recognized that Boaz intended to act. She told Ruth to wait because Boaz would not rest until the matter was settled that very day. Chapter 4 opens with Boaz going to the city gate. The city gate was where legal matters were settled before the elders of the city. Boaz gathered 10 elders and invited the closer family redeemer to sit down. He explained that Naomi needed to sell the land that had belonged to their relative, Elimelech. At first, the man agreed to redeem the land, but then Boaz explained that redeeming the property also meant taking Ruth, the Moabite, as his wife in order to preserve the family line according to God's law. Immediately, the man declined. He wanted the land, but did not want the responsibility that came with redeeming Ruth and preserving Elimelech's family name. So he surrendered his right of redemption to Boaz. In Ruth 4, 6 to 10, Boaz publicly declared before the elders that he would redeem everything that belonged to Elimelech and would also take Ruth as his wife to preserve the name of the deceased on his inheritance. The elders and the people blessed Boaz and Ruth. In Ruth 4, 13 to 15, Boaz married Ruth. The Lord enabled Ruth to conceive, and she gave birth to a son named Obed. The woman told Naomi that the Lord had not left her without a family redeemer. The child would renew her life and sustain her in her old age. The woman who once said, Call me Mara, now held God's blessing in her arms. The book closes with a genealogy. In Ruth chapter 4, 16 to 22, the family line begins with Perez. the son of Judah, and ends with David. Obed became the father of Jesse. Jesse became the father of King David. Matthew chapter 1 shows us that this same family line ultimately leads to Jesus Christ, the promised Messiah, who was also born in Bethlehem. What began with famine ended with redemption. What began with loss ended with hope. What began with one faithful Moabite widow became part of God's eternal plan of salvation. Now, what do these chapters teach and show us? God faithfully provides a redeemer. God's timing is always perfect. Faithful obedience often requires waiting. Ooh, God can redeem what appears to be hopeless. God's plan of redemption points ultimately to Jesus Christ. Now, let's connect all of this across Scripture. The family redeemer reflects God's provision in Leviticus 25 and Deuteronomy 25, 5 to 10. Boaz fulfilled the role of redeemer, pointing forward to Jesus Christ, our ultimate redeemer, Ephesians 1 and 7. Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David. 1 Samuel 16 and 1. Jesus Christ came through this very family line, Matthew 1 and 5 through 6, and chapter 16, and was born in Bethlehem, according to Micah 5 and 2 and Matthew 2 and 1. Now, I'm encouraging you to read the chapters 3 and 4 in full. Y'all, God's redemption unfold. Watch it through Boaz and Ruth. Then look beyond Bethlehem and see the greater Redeemer, Jesus Christ, who entered the world through this very family line to redeem all who place their faith, belief, and trust in him. The story continues tomorrow with 1 Samuel.